launched last summer when we partnered with the Obama White House on the first ever inaugural United States of Women Summit. And since the summit, we've been holding events to raise up issues of gender equality from Nashville to Miami, from women in tech and STEM to girls in sports. We've also been working and organizing, growing the grassroots movement to really grow the power of women. We strive to direct women's energy back into their communities, encouraging more women to lobby their member of Congress, to organize their neighborhood, and yes, to run for office. And in doing this, we really need to make sure that we're talking about an intersectional feminist agenda, that women of all races, all genders, all sexual orientations, abilities, faiths, citizenship statuses are included and engaged in this conversation. Together, and only together, can we really make true strides towards gender equality. I don't need to tell this group of badass women that female political engagement is necessary now. The exciting thing is that the rule book on women's political engagement is being rewritten. We're finding that women are incredibly engaged following the election, and they don't just want to sign a petition or donate, they want to dig in and be activists. That's why I'm so pleased to be joined today by women who are engaging in activism in 3 very different ways, but equally important. They prove to us that no matter where you come from or what field you work in, you deserve a seat at this table. So without further ado, I want to welcome the activists to the stage. I'm so pleased to have you all 3 here today, and I really just want to kick it off with you, Wendy. Yeah. You are running for office in the 34th District of California. Woo! And you also have an incredible personal story. So what made you decide to run for office at this moment in history?
Very simple. If not now, when? If not me, who? Woo! We got to answer the question. So I think we're living in a moment in our nation's history where we talk about refugees, we talk about immigrants, we talk about minority communities, we talk about women and women of color, and yet we lack representation in all those things in our nation's highest office. And so I'm an unrecognized refugee. I'm a formerly undocumented child. I fled war from El Salvador. I'm a woman of color who grew up in the inner city, who with resiliency and through the strength of my family and my parents was able to achieve the American dream. And so when we talk about what political parity and political representation looks like, this is what it looks like.
That's right. That's right.
So I'm running.
Yes.
And if elected, I would be the first Salvadorian American elected into Congress.
Oh my God.
That's exciting.
Right?
Yeah. Where's the high five? Definitely.
So yes. So I think right now, look, after the president got elected, more than 4,000 women across the country have said, I'm running and I'm running for office, whether it's local, state, or national, we're doing it. And I think now is a moment of recognition, and we saw it in the Women's March in DC, where we're coming together from all walks of life, saying we will no longer allow a man to make a decision over my body, which is what we're seeing right now. And so if we rise to the occasion, and if we are elected, and it takes a village because it is hard. It is hard to run, it is hard to fundraise, it is hard to mount a campaign. Mine is a short election, so it's in April, which means that vote by mail starts in March. We don't have a lot of time, and so it's coming up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bellamy, you play Belly Grant on Scandal, and off-screen, yeah. Give it up for Scandal. And off-screen, you're also a tireless advocate for women and girls. And Melly's character is incredibly nuanced. You know, we've seen her strength and her vulnerability. So do you think playing such a real female character has inspired more women to see themselves in politics?
Well, I would be overawed if my little part had anything to do with anyone's journey. But I have to say, I think it's innately subversive, right, when we see a narrow perspective in any media whatsoever. So if we only see a homogenized white male perspective, and even if they've given roles to people of color or to a woman here or there, when the man is still at the center of the narrative, I'm so proud to be a soldier in Shonda's army, because from the very beginning, and it's not even like a mission with her, it's just she believes, as it should be in government, on television, people should see themselves represented fairly. The TV should look like the world. And so she makes sure anyone who's been marginalized in a narrative gets to come to the center, doesn't to have just a seat at the table, but gets to really have their truth explored. And it makes an enormous difference. You know, sometimes we have to see things modeled for us before we can really imagine ourselves like walking in those shoes. And, you know, I think all the antecedents that we can Google about, you know, first black president, first lady president, first abortion on television, first gay kiss, all of those things are really, truly, deeply important to make it as normal a part of life as it is. So, you know, playing Melly Grant has been the gift of a lifetime. It's like winning the lottery every day, just to play that part at all, much less to play it with all my beautiful castmates. But to feel like even a tiny sliver of fake history has been over-inspiring. So to sit here between people who make it and in a room with people who are making it, you know, democracy is all of us. We raise our voices, we shape our future, and I think we've all been a little blessed and therefore complacent. And this new chapter has awakened us in a way that is, you know, terrifying because it has to be, but thrilling for my lifetime. So proud to be here today.
That's right, yeah. And Brittany, you work on educational equity and social justice at Teach for America, and through Campaign Zero, you work to end police violence in America. No, just three small issues that you're working on. Could you tell us about why you started Campaign Zero and how people, you know, can really live your mission in their lives?
So my personal activism and our decision to co-found Campaign Zero was based in a simple truth that social change resistance is never about an either or, it's about a both and. Mm-hmm. And so we were on the streets of Ferguson, taking the tear gas, taking the pepper spray, going to Baltimore, Baton Rouge, et cetera, to make sure that we were creating real crisis. But as we were creating real crisis, we could also be the ones who created the solution. Mm-hmm. And that's what Campaign Zero is. It's a 10-point policy platform to end police violence in America. I was doing that while I was running Teach for America in St. Louis, with 20,000 low-income students of color who not only were in our classrooms, but were also the ones out there in the streets making the world pay attention. And so we had to create solutions there too, to train our teachers differently, to really affirm and grow confidence in our young people so that they can go out and change the world. So Campaign Zero, like I said, is based in that both and you know, a lot of people say that what we believe in is impossible. We believe that we can live in a world where the police don't kill people. And people will say, well, the police will always kill someone. There'll always be some kind of issue. And we set the bar at zero, period, end of story. And we believe that's possible because no one thought that we can make the world pay attention in Ferguson either, and we did. And so we're in a place right now where the impossible has to be possible in order for us to live full, whole, healthy, affirmed lives. And that's what we're committed to. As far as people living that out every single day, it means that you have to be comfortable in that both and. It means that you go to the Women's March, but you figure out how you remain activated afterwards. Mm-hmm. It means that you remain engaged. It means that if you don't run for office, then you think about being someone's chief of staff, someone's legal counsel. You think about being that teacher that activates young people, ensuring that you make the choice to change the world every single day and not just on one day is how we ask you to live it out.
That's amazing. And so speaking of, you know, living every day as an activist, how have all of your personal experiences shaped your advocacy?
Well, I mean, in my own personal narrative, I learned that I was undocumented when I was 13. And in 1994, Governor Pete Wilson passed Proposition 187. I had just received residency, and I thought about what would it have looked like if I was still without status, if my family was still without status. And I thought about all the different people and friends in my community that were without status. And so Los Angeles is one of the most multicultural, diverse, multi-ethnic, beautiful cities in the entire nation. But there's a lot of people here that need support and need help. And so when you work towards these issues, you do them not for yourself, but because we are a community. So when we talk about intersectionality, when we talk about what it means to truly represent community, it goes far beyond yourself. And so in my own work towards civil justice and social rights, it's been it's been about community. And now that there's an opportunity to step into a position of leadership in a much larger way, there's no hesitation behind it. We are in a state of urgency in our country, and we need to be able to be bold and fearless, compassionate and unafraid. And all these things, and we need to be able to, sister to sister and brother to brother and family needs to come together in a large way. And we saw that at the Women's March. We keep seeing it over and over through the Standing Rock resistance, through immigration rights, to LGBTQ rights, to trans women liberation. It's all connected. And so if an issue doesn't impact you, find a way to support somebody that it does, because that's the only way that change happens.
Yeah, yeah.
I love listening. My contributions are smaller than these beautiful women that I sit so humbly between. I have always felt that like I was saying, like in a democracy, we raise our voice. It's incumbent upon us, we the people. We are the people, and there's never been a greater time in my lifetime that I've felt that. I'm again afforded a very humbling situation because of a job that I'm lucky enough to have. People engage with me differently, and that's both a tremendous honor and also makes me feel in that womanly way. Didn't I have the same brain before the job? Like, what's changed there? So I really love that increasingly forums such as this one, the Women's March, the way we're all learning to engage, I really feel like democracy is getting its capital D back. You know, it's becoming a verb again instead of just a noun, something that's separate from us. It's becoming something that we do and we do daily. And so, yeah, my efforts have increased as I've gotten a little bit older. But I've always been so proud to live in this country, and I really want to keep on working so that I can really keep that feeling.
So both of my parents are activists. I like to say I'm not new to this, I'm true to this. My first protest was in a stroller. But that was the choice that they made for me. It was still up to me to choose this life, right? My parents really taught me that courageous people are not born, they're made. And that you have to practice courage every single day. And I think the day that I remember deciding to be bold and deciding to practice courage was the day that, as the co-founder of a diversity organization at my majority white high school, I got spit at by another student. And decided in that moment, you can either stop or you can keep going, and you gotta keep going. And that moment of practice, that decision, that choice point prepared me for tasting that tear gas. It prepared me for sitting next to President Obama and deciding to tell the truth in a building that my ancestors had built, because at the end of the day, what's the worst that can happen? Is somebody else gonna spit at me? You know, it prepared me to be sitting here right now dealing with a very real death threat every single time I go home to St. Louis. And so the risk is very real, and it encounters us in every single way. It encounters our professional opportunities, our ability to make money, our ability to raise our families, our documentation status, et cetera. And yet at the end of the day, if not us, who, and if not now, when? And so that decision to practice courage is what I was raised with, and I'm thankful every day that my parents raised me to make that choice.
Well, thank you. On behalf of all Americans, thank you for practicing courage.
Yeah.
I feel like I know that you all have made so many sacrifices, and I thank you for that. And I want everyone to be really geared towards action. You know, as you all are so inspired, and as we go into this next phase, I want us to, my last question is, for all the people in this room, what's an action item? What's one thing you want them to know and to take with them when they leave this room?
I would just say to remember that resistance and social change is a real discipline, that it's not, as I said earlier, a one moment or a one day action. I was reminded a couple of weeks ago that you have two hands. You have one hand to battle and one hand to build. So it's important that we're out there telling the truth right now, taking on the battle, deciding to run for office, deciding to support people in all of our intersectional issues, and raising our voices. And as we do that, though, we need to build. We need to build the kind of societies and institutions that protect women, that protect children, that protect undocumented folks, that protect trans women. We need to build the kind of schools that actually embrace all of our students and ensure that they are protected and loved and affirmed as we give them academic skill. So the battle is often the attractive, the sexy part. It's certainly not easy, but it's what people are most attracted to. And sometimes we forget to build, so don't forget to use that second hand.
I would also add that it is the most patriotic thing we can do if we do love our country, that we raise our voices, that we work to make it what we want to be proud of and what we want to be a part of. And always remember that, you know, like President Obama, former President Obama said in his farewell address, like, we hold the highest office in the land. We are citizens in a democracy, so we make all things possible.
President Obama recently said the highest office that anyone can hold in this country is that of citizen. So it is our responsibility to every day challenge members of Congress or your local elected officials, because being a politician is not about being about yourself, it is about being a public servant, and we need to remind folks that that's what it's about. So I'm running for Congress. I would ask that you all look into who's running in your local districts, in your local community. You can support me, you can support other women. My website is votewendycarrillo.com. And I will leave you with this quote by Martin Luther King Jr., who said, "Use me, God, show me how to take who I am, who I want to be, and what I can do, and use it for a purpose greater than myself." It is always about how can we help. And in our nation's highest document, it says, we, the people, in order to form a more perfect union. This union is not done, it is not completed, it is forever changing, it's forever growing, and it is up to us to make it a country of what can be and what should be. So get involved, do something.
Yeah. I love that. Do something.
Go Wendy! Yeah!
And thank you so much. Do something is going to be my new motto that I put above my bedroom. I love it. And as we wrap today, I have 3 things to tell you. I'm so excited to be here with our good friend Jordan Brooks. Stand up, Jordan.
Woo!
She's the Obama administration's Deputy Director of White House Council on Women and Girls, and today we want you all to know that moving forward, she's finding her home at the United States of Women and leading our growing team.
Woo! Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm also thrilled to say that over the next year, the United States of Women will be partnering with the Makers and AOL teams to highlight amazing women across the country and also to harness their extraordinary network to make sure that we're driving women all across the globe towards action.
Woo!
And on that note of action, we're carrying this torch forward at the United States of Women by hosting a week of action during the first congressional recess, which is February. So our week of action is February 18th through the 25th, where we're encouraging people to contact their representatives about all of the issues that are important to them that are really coming down the legislative pipe right now. So you can sign up at theunitedstatesofwomen.org and commit to taking action that week. We'll send you everything you need to know about how to do that and how to engage on all of the issues happening right now. So thank you so much, amazing activists, for being here today. You know, we're really excited to be gearing everyone to take bold action. And thank you so much to Makers for being our incredible partners and friends. And thank you to everyone that you all are going to take and do and change the world. So thank you so much.